Nithyananda, I'm just continuing on the Paramashivoham, and I really don't know what else to say. It's been completely amazing what Swamiji has talked about today, and he spoke about. I mean, one of the things for me is like, I'm trying to understand who is Swamiji. And today was a good reminder, don't worry, you're never going to be able to understand it. But he's saying, we can access all dimensions, and he wants to give us experiences of that. So you just got to decide what you can do. And it's really true. It's been hitting home to me, like really, if I have the ability, because of his initiations to do certain things and help in certain ways, if you're not changing someone's life every day, what are you doing really? And that's why I'm going to keep making these videos, because I know that if I do keep doing that and I keep doing the third eye healing, more people will come and they'll get the benefit. And it's like, if he's giving me third eye powers and I'm not sharing them with people, it's a worse than wasting food, much worse than wasting food. And so that was nice. So I'm basically going to keep going on with that. I didn't feel like making the videos today, but I feel much better now after having done that. So I'm going to use that as a reminder to do it every day. And the Zoom session went very quickly today. The coconut fell right away, which it usually will when I'm by myself. I don't have much doubt about that, so that's why it happens so easily. So yeah, it was just an amazing thing Swamiji shared today. And it just gives me so much perspective on, like, this is such a small life that we're living. He can exist in and manipulate through and interact with other beings from all these different dimensions. And we're here thinking time is like the ultimate dimension. But time doesn't even... time is, ultimately doesn't exist. Time is the measure of the change of the physical world, basically. And to live in that space is so tiny. He must come and see us as such tiny little, if we don't even cognize the passage of time often, we don't have awareness of ourselves as spiritual beings, of our spiritual powers. He must come and just see us as such tiny little specks, and we constantly live in that little dimension that I need to fight and grasp with the physical world to make progress. And it's like, that's completely not needed. You need to unclutch and express your spiritual self and engage with other spiritual beings to pull that out of them, to pull it through their physical struggles. Reach inside them, grab them and pull them out and be like, wow, my inner self exists outside. I don't need to struggle with the physical world to bring myself into existence. So it's just really mind-blowing. The Sarashivoham was a huge party, and Mahasarashivoham was the same kind of thing. And Paramashivoham, like Swamiji said, he's going to give the ability so that you will never be locked in passing time without content and consciousness. So basically, we're passing time, we don't know why, we don't have any awareness of it, we're not considering, that what we're doing should be expressing what we want. So there won't be any more loss of the passage of time without it being beneficially leading to your goals, which is really kind of amazing. When Swamiji says something like that, he really does it. He doesn't just say it. So that will be going on in the background, which is really interesting, because if you look at your productivity in a day, it's like 8 hours I did this and this and this and this. But of those 8 hours, what was the time that was actually, capitalizing on what you want to create? Well, I made one phone call that made something move. Right? Maybe I sat and I wrote a paper for a couple hours, which is, one thing. But other people could do that kind of things. We could supervise it. But if you look at the amount of time that it takes to actually make things move that you want to have move, that's leading to our goals, it's very small amount of time. It's a very small amount of time. And it'll be phone calls, it'll be short discussions, it'll be maybe finishing small reports, but if you look at the 8 hours that we may be working, it's not that like there's many hours. If you look at the clicks where the things get finished, that is getting done, it'll usually be like 15 or 25 minutes or something like that, where it's like, yeah, that is there, that is there, that is there. In the meantime, we're leading up to those things. Like even if I'm sitting and editing a video for 4 hours, it's like, that's not even 4 hours of completion content. It's like maybe 45 minutes or 30 minutes of like, that's done, that's done, that's done. And it's the done things that we want, right? The done things, the things that make the shift, that make the move that we want done. So the inner time, if we're using our conscious intelligence, we should be inspiring others and giving conscious experience to others, and let them work on the similar projects, and where that time we're spending is not making the clicks happen. It's really a small amount of time that, like if you have 24 hours in a day, how many seconds in that day is it like that thing is happening that you want, that's furthering you towards manifesting your goals? It's generally less than an hour, certainly less than 3 hours. If you look at the actual amount of time where the changes are happening that you want to have happen. It'll happen in just small moments. You have a discussion with someone, you have an epiphany, you make a few notes, you share something with someone, something comes through, that thing gets finished, right? There's other things we can do that is like, I was writing a project for 10 hours. Yeah, but it wasn't like the whole 10 hours was manifesting that goal. It would have been maybe an hour and a half was actually like the things are happening. That's not to say that we shouldn't spend the other time, but the content and consciousness is not in those times. Just kind of the motion of like filling the paper with words is going on, and we have a few clicks, a few rearrangements, and one or two clarities of how to fulfill it, and then the outcome gets finished and it's sent. So it's really just 15 minutes of that like 4 or 5 hours we spent on writing something that is actually the productive outcome. The rest doesn't have that full consciousness in it. The content of production creation is not in that. I didn't explain it as good as I should for it to make a lot of sense, but if you look at your day, if you take 10 hours of your working day and you just write down everything you did, actually at the end of the day write down what you accomplished. If you look at what you accomplished, how much time that took to accomplish, it'll be like a fraction, 10 or 20% of the amount of hours you spent trying to accomplish it. And so the clicks of making things move and change is really just like small seconds and minutes and moments. And so that's one of the things that we say about CEOs, very kind of active, productive CEOs. They'll have like 1 or 2 hours, probably 2 hours where they're really effective at really moving things. So if you have 100 projects and you have a list of what has to get done for each one, if you get those things done, it'll usually just be with like contracting other people to be involved, basically. Reach out to 10 or 15 people. Would you like to be involved in this? Moving things in that way. And so, and in that sense, that doesn't even get the thing done. But once you've got people involved in that, then you can move projects more easily. So it's an interesting thing, actually. If you look at the amount of time it takes to actually create what you want to create, it's not nearly the amount of time that we spend doing it. Thinking, planning, working, arranging. Finally, it gets done. But what did we actually want to have done? We could have done it in a much different way. And if you look at the amount of time you spend in a day, and then write down what was the outcome, the number of hours it took to create that outcome, the actual time it takes to create that outcome will be much, much, much less. And my understanding right now is it's not just you doing all that work, but other people need to be involved in it also. And so the thing is, because we have the spiritual blessings of Swamiji, it's like you cannot not go on sharing that. So I'll continue making the videos because it's necessary, finding ways to help you guys however I can. Of course, I gotta admit, it's about helping me, also sharing and clarifying and becoming more aligned to Swamiji. But it's necessary for me having the best thing to share with others. So I'll see you again soon. Nithyanandam.